It's the Mustang Insider Show presented by Cal Portland, the largest building materials company of cement and construction material products on the West Coast. Now, here's Chris Sylvester, the voice of the Mustangs.
Welcome to another edition of the Mustang Insider, powered by Learfield and presented by Cal Portland. Fall sports at Cal Poly in full swing. It's been a couple of years since we've been able to say that, as is the football season for the Cal Poly Mustangs, who picked up a Week 1 victory on the road in San Diego against the Toreros. They're headed inland from here for their lone FBS game against Fresno State this weekend, and then their home opener is just a mere matter of 9 days from now when the South Dakota Coyotes come to town. But if you ask these players, if you ask Beau Baldwin, it's a week-by-week approach to try and get back towards the top of the Big Sky. Our guest this week is QB1 for the Cal Poly Mustangs, Spencer Brash, redshirt sophomore out of Gilbert, Arizona. Spencer, thanks so much for taking some time out of Week 2 to chat with us.
No, thank you for having me. It means a lot.
Hey, lots that I want to get into you with in regards to your football career before Cal Poly, now at Cal Poly. But just to make that season debut and pick up a victory on the road last week, how was that feeling? And how did that feeling compare to maybe any other feeling you had since making the transition to college football from Higley High School?
It was just phenomenal just to get back on the field again, to be playing with some guys that I consider my brothers, even though I haven't been here very long, but still, like, some guys, some true, genuine dudes, and our coaching staff, genuine, everything about them I love. So just being able to get on the field with some of these guys and be able to come back home with the dub was huge.
Hey, for those that don't know, it hasn't said Cal Poly football across the front of Spencer Brash's shirt since he graduated high school. It did say California Golden Bears for a couple of years. You went to the Pac-12 out of high school, went to Cal for 2019, 2020. And obviously that's where your relationship with your now head coach, Beau Baldwin, began. Kind of talk about that decision coming out of high school to commit to Cal, and when you and Beau Baldwin first met, when you guys got in touch, and when you thought that, hey, this guy's going to help me a lot in my progression as a quarterback at the next level.
Out of high school, like, the recruiting process, it's crazy. It's hectic. So no matter where you are, it's just, there's a lot of stuff going on. So through the process, one of the main coaches that stood out to me was Baldwin, and he was the one that I felt a true connection with from day one. So for me to decide that, he made it much easier for me to go to where he is. And so that brought me up to Cal, and that's kind of how I got there. But from high school to where I got to Cal, it was just, I felt great about who I was with and who was coaching me, and how much he could help me and how much he can progress me as being a quarterback.
Spencer Brash, quarterback for the Cal Poly Mustangs, the 1-0 Cal Poly Mustangs, joining us here on the Mustang Insider. You're from Gilbert, Arizona, which, if I'm not mistaken, is just on the outskirts of Phoenix. So usually this time of year, you try and stay indoors as much as you can and get the AC flowing. You go to many places and houses around San Luis Obispo, they've never heard of air conditioning because it doesn't get all that hot here. What's the transition been like weather-wise early in the football season, late in fall camp? It must be nice to be able to walk around outside and kind of enjoy the summer days, right?
It's wonderful to be able to just walk outside and not just start sweating profusely just the immediate second that you walk outside. So everything about here I've loved it ever since I got here, and just the weather, everything about it, location, just phenomenal everywhere around.
Spencer Brash started his first college game as a true freshman back in 2019. Wasn't all that long ago, just a couple of years. You were the first Cal Bear true freshman starting quarterback since former #1 overall pick Jared Goff, who's gone on to have a pretty nice NFL career. I'm sure, even though you're no longer donning those colors up in Berkeley, that you still kind of follow the guys that you got to know during your time there, and maybe some of the guys that came before you. And then you made the decision after 2020 to kind of leave that program and pursue other options. What went into that decision, and how did you get back in touch with Beau Baldwin, and why Cal Poly at the end of the day?
It was just a personal decision that I felt like I had to make for myself. And it was just something that I talked to about with me and my parents. Just felt like it was probably the best thing for my future, for my career. So that was just kind of something that came out that way. But one of the first people that reached out once I hit the transfer portal was Coach Baldwin. And I was immediately like, I don't know if I need to even look for anywhere else. Like I already know this guy really well, and I've known him for a while, know who he is, and I know everyone else here, all of our other coaches and staff. So I feel like immediately it just stood out to me as a really good choice to pursue.
Now, you weren't here in the spring. The team
Mhm.
did play 3 games in the spring, and then after the spring season, you had announced your decision and your intention to get out to Cal Poly. You didn't have a full off season here, but you had a full fall camp. Uh, how easy was it to kind of adjust to your new teammates and new life for you here on California's Central Coast?
It was great. I from day one I was a little nervous when I first got here. Didn't really know a lot of guys. I think I knew maybe 2 3 guys on the team, but just from day one, everyone here was just so welcoming to everything about me, and just being able to be close friends with all of them. So that was huge for when I first got here. I was a little bit nervous, but as soon as I met everyone, I was like, this is the place I should be, and this is the place I want to be right now.
Well, you're a perfect 1-0 to start your
Mhm.
career. I don't think you could have asked for much more than that. When you came to Cal Poly and got out with these guys on the practice field for the first time, what was kind of the mood around the program? Obviously, there was no fall season for these guys last year. Only a few games in the spring, and nobody's gonna say that the spring season was what they had hoped for in terms of the results on the field. What was kind of the attitude around practice as you guys kind of leaped into this new 2021 journey?
The attitude has always been high since I've been here. Everyone's been ready to grind. I know for a fact that a lot of them don't want to have happen what happened last year, and that's what they've told me as well. But it's just every single one of the people here is willing to put in that extra work, work harder than they've ever worked before, just so we can try to have a very successful season together. So just coming here and seeing that made me even want to progress myself that much more. Just knowing that there's other guys around me that really want to work hard too.
Yeah, no question that these guys have been eager to get after it, eager
Mhm.
to play a fall football game for the first time in almost 2 years. And you could just kind of sense that with the passion and energy that Cal Poly played with this past weekend in San Diego. I'm talking to the Mechanics Bank Student Athlete of the Week, Spencer Brash, as the Mustangs get ready to head inland on a bus trip for the second straight week and take on the Fresno State Bulldogs. Here are the numbers for Spencer Brash week one, if you were wondering: 23 completions, 38 attempts, 316 yards, 2 touchdowns. And maybe the biggest factor there in those statistics is that you protected the football. You did a nice job of not giving the other side extra opportunities. How important is that?
That we've stressed that every single week. Every meeting that we have weekly of our unit meetings, our position meetings, everything is stressed about that is the turnover margin. That is such a huge factor in any kind of college game, any football game, period. So if you can be able to score without giving them the ball back at the same time, it should bring you good results throughout the game.
Us as media members, broadcasters, we tend to call guys that go from the FBS to the FBS drop downs. And maybe that can sound a little derogatory at times and a little misleading because while the levels are different, we just saw the Big Sky pick up 3 FBS victories this past weekend, and even for you coming from the Pac-12, we saw Montana knock off a Washington team that was in the preseason top 25. So I know you've only played one game in a Cal Poly uniform, but what's the difference in the level of play between the FBS and the FCS outside of just the depth and the scholarship numbers?
The scholarship numbers have a huge thing to do with it, but I feel like everyone here is working for something, and they're the reason that they're here is because they love to play and they want to keep playing and they want to strive to be successful. So everyone here, just the attitudes I feel like around here is just crazy how upbeat everyone is, and how focused everyone is on their task at hand and what they want to do. So I feel like that was a huge impact on to why we could start off 1-0, and how I feel like we're gonna have a pretty successful season just solely based on how we attack every day, how we attack every practice, how we attack every game, every opponent.
Hey, I'll say the chemistry looked great for the fact that it was your Cal Poly debut. You weren't here in the spring with these guys. You weren't here last fall with these guys. Neither was Chris Coleman, who comes over from Fresno State. I'm sure he's really looking forward to the weekend as much as he might try to downplay it. 4 catches, 76 yards for the former Bulldog. He caught a touchdown from you this past week in San Diego. He, among other guys like Michael Briscoe, Xavier Moore, Giancarlo Woods, Zedekiah Centers, who Cal Poly fans got to know a little bit in the spring, Michael Roth, who at times has been a really good tight end throughout his Cal Poly career. How easy was it to kind of get on the same page as these receivers and tight ends? And, what are some things you guys look to improve on before you hit the Big Sky slate in a few weeks?
Every single one of those guys that you listed are just phenomenal athletes. So being able to come here and being able to throw to such great athletes, it's really helpful for sure. And just being able to everyone bond together as quick as we did is pretty amazing. Just to see that that's the way that it is. So we're just looking, trying to keep working forward every day. We're practicing. We're figuring out taking extra reps, taking extra throws like after practice if we have to, but trying to make sure that we're all locked into our craft and make sure everything's right. So every single one of these guys is dedicated to working hard and pushing forward. So that's something that you just love to see as a team, is just all these other players just ready to and willing to work hard for everything, come together for a common goal.
Hey, the improvements were aplenty from what we saw in the spring to what we saw from you guys in week one. There's no question about it. Obviously, the biggest one being you picked up a victory. But how about your offensive line? And for the most part, how they were able to protect you on Saturday? That's always the big question mark. You move away from a triple option offense. Those offensive linemen are recruited to do different things than what you guys are doing and what Bo Baldwin likes to call this multiple offense. It seems like they have gotten so much more comfortable in this new flow from what we saw in the spring and what we saw Saturday in the win against San Diego.
Every single one of them did a great job. We have a bunch of guys that are switching in and out. We were putting in some younger guys as well, just trying to get them some reps, just get some experience in. But every single one of them did a phenomenal job and helped me stay safe, help our team keep moving forward and be able to do what we did the game. So without our line, there's no way that we could have done what we did that entire game. So very grateful for every single one of them.
Hey, you're off to Fresno this week. It's a matchup between a couple of former Pac-12 quarterbacks. I'm sure the TV broadcast is going to
Mhm.
try and milk that as much as they can. Jake Hayner, of course, was at Washington before he got to Fresno. You yourself coming from Cal. What do you know about this Bulldog team after watching some film? They've been very impressive. Blowout win in week 0 against UConn. Almost got it done against the Oregon Ducks in Eugene last week. This is a veteran defense that you're going to see Saturday night.
Phenomenal athletes, and we would come into every game thinking the same thing, like it's just another game, but we got to still know that these are some great dudes and some athletic dudes. So we're going to come into the game, it's going to be a little bit of a battle, but we just need to do what we're supposed to do and let the game play out the way it's supposed to.
Hey, and those 97-degree temperatures expected for the weekend, those aren't going to bother you, right? Because you're used to that.
That reminds me of home, ready to go play back at home almost. So it's going to be another thing, but our whole week, everyone's got the positive mindset about it. It shouldn't really affect us too much, and we should be solid in the game.
Hey, I know the mindset's Fresno State right now, but how excited are you to play in your first game at home the following week against South Dakota? These fans, Spencer, have been waiting and itching for almost 2 years to see a Cal Poly squad led by Bo Baldwin. We didn't let in any fans in the springtime in the one home game we had then. Sure, they can go to the Valley and see you guys in Fresno. Sure, they could have gone south and seen you guys in San Diego last week. But to take the home grass at Alex G. Spano Stadium, what's that going to mean for you and your teammates coming up a little more than a week from now?
It's going to mean a lot to every single one of us, just being able to come home and play at our home game against our home crowd and just get everyone there, get everyone hype, and just being able to show out for our home city and being able to do what we're supposed to do. So I hope that it's a super packed game. Everyone's there and everyone's excited about the game, and we hope to come out and do what we're supposed to do.
Hey, September 18th, 5 o'clock, South Dakota Coyotes, Cal Poly Mustangs. It's a great conference matchup in the FCS, the Missouri Valley. They've got the powerhouses, North Dakota State, South Dakota State, and of course, Cal Poly coming from the Big Sky. Get your tickets, gopoly.com. Come see Spencer Brash. And the Mustangs are Mechanics Bank, Student Athlete of the Week, joining us on the Mustang Insider. Thank you so much for your time. Safe travels out to Fresno. Why not us, right?
Why not us? Why not us is the way we've been approaching it all week. So why not us?
Thanks, Spencer. Appreciate your time.
Okay, thank you very much.
It is always great to meet the new Mustang players that come onto campus and make an immediate impact, like Spencer Brash. Looking forward to him and watching the future of Cal Poly football with him at the signal caller spot. Hey, this podcast is great. We get to kind of introduce you to student athletes, talk with head coaches, get some exclusive content that you can't really find anywhere else. Have to thank our sponsors. They make it all possible. AM Sun Solar. If you're worried about rising PG&E rates, go solar. Pay less on your monthly bills. From seamless installs to custom financing solution, the experts at AM Sun Solar do it all. Visit amsunsolar.com. Your local solar experts. Also, as always, have to thank Dignity Health. This podcast brought to you by Dignity Health, offering all-star treatment, Mechanics Bank student athlete treatment, all that stuff you can trust. To learn more about their healthcare services, visit dignityhealth.org/Central Coast. We'll see you next time on the Mustang Insider from Learfield.
This has been the Mustang Insider Show presented by Cal Portland, with a commitment to environmental leadership that has made the organization stronger and is the primary choice of contractors. The Mustang Insider Show. The preceding has been a Learfield's presentation on the Cal Poly Sports Network.